We just worked. We walked the streets. We uh, uh, maybe had some telephoning, but it was perhaps almost totally face-to-face contact.
Wow.
We saw the ballot as the voice of our people.
Russell and I were pretty good friends.
Mm.
And then when he announced for Public Works Commissioner, I told him he was crazy.
There's no way a black elected official, a city official, was going to be elected. A candidate for that, because the numbers weren't there.
Emerging from the shadow of machine politics, Memphis, in the 1950s, was a city divided, unsure of its future direction. Having become used to a particular social and political structure under Boss Crump over the years, few Memphians had openly confronted policies such as segregation. However, with the successes nationwide of the early civil rights movement, most notably Brown versus Board of Education and the Montgomery bus boycott, there seemed to be an opportunity to break a long tradition of exclusion of African Americans from local political life. An opportunity especially apparent to a younger generation, among them Russell Sugarman and Benjamin Hooks. Both young attorneys, they, along with others, decided to try to break the color barrier in local politics by running for the offices of Public Works Commissioner and Juvenile Court Judge. Relying on a small army of supporters, their campaign, dubbed the Volunteer Ticket, electrified the black community. Through voter registration drives, rallies, and celebrity appearances, they mobilized people who had never before been involved in local politics, building up a level of participation that made the later success of the civil rights movement possible. Though ultimately unsuccessful in their initial political campaign, their story, told here through their voices and the voices of their contemporaries, should give some indication of the difference they made to this city.
Well, in retrospect, I don't think Russell had a chance. And I think he knew he didn't have a chance, but he wanted to start things moving. You got to take the first step if you want to walk the whole mile. I know they were afraid of their lives. I mean, they were.
And at that time, I went into working for Mr. Sugarman to get him elected.
They were very courageous because there was a lot of potential violence.
And because I was very, very active in Russell Sugarman's run for the county city commission.
Well, one of the ways that everybody ran at large at that time, and they discovered that black folks could vote in a block and elect somebody at large.
If there were 2 or 3 white candidates in there, they would agree among themselves which one would get out, so the black wouldn't have as much chance to get elected. There's an awful lot of maneuvering going on that way.
But strictly by the math, the whites had somewhat more voters, registered voters. That doesn't mean they always voted.
That was the first time Martin Luther King came up here to talk. He talked to the fundraiser for us. Daisy Bates talked to the fundraiser for us.
So mathematically, it was possible for them to, if they turned out and voted in a certain level of participation, that they could outvote the white community. Solidarity was the key to it,
A 2-to-1 race would be an even race. A 7-to-1 race, I got a real good shot at winning.
there were several whites in the race, and the newspapers ran a campaign. They encouraged the others, not just the newspapers, but the powers that be, encouraged the others to get out.
We figured 30, I think it was 35. I got 37,000 votes and lost by 21,000 votes. It was the biggest turnout in history, black and white. So I told the papers, I said, well, we won everything but the election. It was a democratic activity. There were more people expressing themselves than ever. And what we won was a politicized group who didn't want to stop. So
it was just a can't say chore, but a task of fulfillment. We knew we were going somewhere.
that was the heavy infantry for everything we did for 12 or 15 years.
Well, I've always worked and been proud to say that I was grassroots, call myself a grassroots worker even now. Because that's where the activities are. You're not out there for publicity to be seen, but to work hard to get something done.